Hello and welcome to a more detailed dive into Kovalam Beach in Kerala, South India. Kovalam Beach consists of two beaches that are in two little bays. The southern portion, with this lighthouse, contains a boardwalk and hotels and restaurants. Now, as you scan across from this bay, looking from the south to the north, you'll see that the curl of the bay is at that end. Now, there's another bay on the other side that's not as well developed. There isn't a boardwalk that goes all the way around, but it's another beautiful beach. Here you can see the hotels in the back, the sunbeds all lined up and ready to go. Let's take a look at the beach from the hotel balcony. And here you can see that bay a little bit clearer. It's busy and but not too busy. Great place to be. Let's go down to the beach and take a look at the waves to get a flavor of what that beach feels like. The waves are decent enough most of the time for body surfing, for boogie boarding, and some very limited actual surfing. There are surfing classes available. It's a good place to learn because the waves are not too intimidating. Let's take a look at the bay in its entirety. Once again, you can see that curvature, the sunbeds laid out, the restaurants and the hotels lining the beach. That brown building there is the German bakery with a good selection of German and European and Indian products. That little box is a police station for tourists. So they've thought about all the details, and this is a fun beach to visit. Now, where exactly is Kovalam in India? Let's take a look at the map. When we jump into the map, you can see it's at the very southern tip of India. And if we zoom in just a little bit, we'll start to see that it's just south of Trivandrum. And zoom in again and you see the double bays. Now the thing is, when you look at this, that whole area is called Kovalam Beach. Now within the portion that is hotels, that little red line shows where the hotels are pretty high up. Moving on to fishing, every day the fishermen take the boats out and they lay out a very large net that forms a semicircle. That large net it's pulled in by the fishermen and often makes the food supply for the restaurants and the local community. So let's take a look at the fishing activity. The nets have been pulled out, and the fishermen, this is the southern end of the rope section, are pulling the net back in. As the guy at the back rolls up the net, and as each person comes to the end, they walk back to the front and pick up the slack. This is the northern end of that rope, where we can see the pulling taking place. And this takes them about an hour to get the entire net in. Every now and then, the net gets stuck, and someone has to go out in a boat or swim out and release the net. So, swinging back to take a look at the southern end of the net. There it is. They're getting closer to pulling the boat completely in, the net completely in. So, let's wait for a second and see how the pulling goes. Very soon, we'll have an opportunity to hear the chant. Let's take a look at the sunset in speeded up motion. The pollution from the city up north, about 30 minutes north of Trivandrum, has swept out to sea, and as the sun sets, you'll notice that it vanishes before it hits the horizon. So this just gives you a sense that while we didn't experience any bad air in where we were, clearly the city is pushing out the pollution. Next, we'll jump to looking at what happens once the sun has set. The boardwalk restaurants open up and they put their fish out for display. You pick your fish and you go to cooking. Well, let's go into one of these restaurants and look at maybe some other activities. So we're going to visit the naan man. He's going to make naan for dinner. He's already got two done. That's the dough going up against the side wall of the oven. And there's a fire and the dough sticking to the oven. While the dough in the oven cooks, he's prepping the naan that came out earlier. The basic model is that you lather on some butter to the cooked naan, as you'll see right here, and then chops it up to the designated size. There you go. Cleans off the counter. That'll be about a minute and 10 seconds. And That other naan should be ready. Now, when we look over the counter into that fireplace again, the oven, you'll see that naan twitch a little bit as it moves away from the wall. And that tells him that the naan is ready to come out. So let's take a look at what's the top. And there it moves. So that's the indication that there's sufficient steam from that dough that this is cooked. So he fishes it out, and just like before, goes ahead and applies the butter and folds and chops it. Next, we're going to go look at the alleys behind the frontline hotels and restaurants. Those alleys slope gently up away from the beach initially before they start to climb quickly. There are signs showing you where each of the facilities are: hotels, retail outlets, service providers, and there's a wide selection of choices. There are also alleys that just connect one business alley or living alley to another alley, like this one here. It goes down, and you see walls on both sides where there's hotels, and at the tail end of it, you'll see one little retail outlet. But essentially, this is a connecting alley. So we'll connect to the next alley, and we'll look left and to the right. To the left, you'll see a coffee shop and more retail stores as we come around this corner here. There you go. And to the right, you'll see an alley that goes down right by hotels. Hotel on the left here with its patio, hotel on the right behind us if we look back, rooms to rent right here. And as we go down, you'll see a few more retail stores before we hit the beach. And there we are at the beach, coming through the alleys. So it's a great place to visit and buy stuff at the alleys. And this is the lighthouse at night as it shines out into the ocean. Now, the hotels up the hill have a steeper climb, but many of them have great views. There's some fabulous hotels up there. And further down, some people prefer to be on the waterfront where the views are great if you're on the waterfront. But the restaurants are right there, and it gives you an opportunity to hit the beach anytime you want with no inconvenience. I hope this gave you some insight into Kovalam Beach, and it's a great place to visit. Enjoy.